jury on making jury. All game, the power has been in the hands of the players. The power now switches to the jury. You get to decide who's going to be the sole survivor of this game and win $100. How this is going to work, we're going to let both of our final two have an opening speech. Whatever they want to say, they can talk about. We won't interrupt them. We'll try to keep it around a minute and a half, 2 minutes. We won't time you, but just don't go forever. Say what you need to say, and we'll move on from there. We'll talk about the different aspects of the game. The jury, you have full access to talk, question, anything that you need to do, and after that, we'll vote. All right. Who wants to get us started off first in the opening speech?
Alright, well, it's strange being up here. I didn't know I was coming today. Don't know making it this far. I don't really know if I deserve to win. I haven't really done much, to be honest, but I think that says a lot at the same time. I've never heard of Survivor up to this point. I've heard of Survivor, but I've never watched a full episode. I knew nothing about it, like, most of the way through the games. And somehow I made it this far, so I must be doing something right. That's really all I gotta say in this.
All right. Tyler?
Well, I was kind of worried coming into this because I know most of you guys don't like me, which is justifiable. But I thought with my speech, I would just do like a little rundown of my entire game, so hopefully you guys can get like a better picture of what I went through. So we started off the game. I was in an alliance of basically everyone but Rob because he didn't want to be in the game.
That was peaceful.
We were just winning, didn't really have to worry about anything. And then we had the trade. I got thrown into alliance with Sam, Rob, and Ronnie, Peyton, and Abby. And so they were like 3-on-3, but in all actuality it was 3-on-2 because Rob would not strategize about anything. So on the 3-on-2, I completely lied about me thinking Rob had hidden Miriato to convince them to split the votes, just to make sure they wouldn't put any on me, just in case he actually did. We took out Rob, and then it actually came to fruition that Sam did have a hidden Miriato, but I also completely lied to Peyton and Abby and told him that he had shown me he had one when he hadn't, to convince them to work with me and to flip on one of their own. Unfortunately, Peyton wouldn't go with me, so sorry about that, bro. But Abby did, so I got Abby to flip on her main alliance. Then, pretty soon after that, we did the egg challenge. I couldn't remember anything. And then we went to the merge. When we first got to the merge, I was sitting in a position where I kind of knew Abby, like barely, and then everybody else in my alliance was dead or had been with another tribe the whole game. So I immediately had to talk to somebody. I picked her. I got her on my side like really quick. I'm sorry, your name's name, not her. And then there were names going around like for Ryan, for Allie, and I would consider that I got them to start going for Ronnie instead. I mean, it was a mutual decision, but I definitely got the ball rolling as well. And then, I had some rough spots. I won one immunity battle, so I was safe. And then I would say one of my biggest plays of the game, which also makes me like one of the biggest villains, was I made my biggest threat and person to beat me in the game save me 2 times. And I'm sorry for that, Gabe. But I think I deserve to win. I mean, this isn't, as terrible as it sounds, this isn't a game to make friends. It's a game to who plays better and who wins. And I hope you guys can still be friends with me after the game. But I think I played a lot harder and a lot better game than Ethan. I think he kind of just got dragged along the whole way. And yeah, I think I deserve to win.
Would Ethan rebuttal to that?
Mason will answer that.
Yeah, I mean, no, we'll hold it now. The opening speeches will just be left alone because he'll have a chance in a second if he wants to. and you guys can ask him to in a second whenever we get to talking. So from here, we're going to break down 3 general areas of the game: outplay, outwit, and outlast, that are on the Survivor logo. I'll kind of give you guys generally what those entail, and then the floor will be open for you guys to ask questions or just talk amongst yourselves or to them, and just see where that discussion goes. So the first section we're going to talk about is outplay. Outplay. How did you win challenges? Did you go out and find idols and advantages? What did you do to physically make sure that you were outplaying everybody else? I'll open the floor up. Somebody want to start us off with a question about the outplay section?
Somebody will start with a question.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, question period.
Not this portion, but anyways, so I guess one thing that we kind of discussed as a jury, like any sort of idol or advantage, never had possession of one that we know of at least. And I mean, that doesn't mean you didn't have one play for you, but you know, at no point did you make a strategic decision to play one. Do y'all think that that should factor in at all in terms of your overall strategy of the game, or was that kind of your plan the whole time, was to kind of lay back and not have to be forced to make those decisions?
When I first started, I didn't want to be the guy that ventured off and was looking for stuff and got a target on his back. And then when everyone started looking for stuff, I was like, shoot, I'll look. But I found some of the fire tokens, but I never found an idol or anything. So I just didn't have an idol to use. So I had to rely on other people. I had to convince them to tell me what they had, and then I had to use that because I couldn't find it myself. I tried hard to find one, but I just never could.
Yeah, I'm also trying to convince people to give them to you as well.
Yeah, I mean, in your instance, I was being truthful. I wanted, because I can't remember who exactly had the dart thing, but they had the dart thing. I knew they were going to use it on you, which they ended up doing. It didn't pan out the way that we thought it was, because the tribal council before that, you didn't work with me, so I couldn't work with you the second time. But had you given me that immunity idol, I was going to play it for you, because I knew that when they used the dart on you, you couldn't use it anymore, but I could use it for you. So I was being truthful right there. I wasn't just going to snatch your thing from you. But
How was that supposed to help her though? After she had already been targeted with the other one, how were you playing it for her to help
okay,
her?
on the first tribal council that I wanted to use that, I had been told previously by someone that they were going to vote her out, and that
We can use names now.
well, I can't remember who exactly was. No, it's not made up. Listen, whenever it was me, May, Abby, and then this was like before me and Gabe had really gotten tight. You had this was like right after you and Thomas had, you had taken Thomas's stuff. So you had the dart, didn't you?
No.
You didn't steal the poison dart off of him?
No.
Well, I thought you did have poison dart. Someone had the poison dart.
Thomas had one.
Yeah, and then you loot his body?
Nope, I did
No.
not.
Well, I thought Gabe had the poison dart, and I thought he was going to use it on you because that's who I was told we were voting for, and so I was going to try to save you, but that's never even happened anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
It was kind of hard to know that because we had known about some lies, here and there, and I feel like that kind of hurt you, in the long run.
What lies have you heard about
Thinking
that?
lies like, you didn't do it with a purpose. You just lied to someone for the heck of it.
Like, give me an example.
Like before merge.
Before marriage, like, when did I lie with a purpose?
You explained it a while ago.
When I lied about Sam having an immunity idol, so the target would get off my back. How's that a lie? Like, how's that a useless
Ronnie.
lie?
Before we get like too far down this rabbit hole, like, Ethan hasn't even answered the question yet, and so we'd like to hear his answer, I guess, as far as going back to like the idle play, not ever using any idols or advantages. Like, was that part of your strategy to kind of? I know you kind of said that you were kind of coasting the whole game, so it was like, so was that part of your play as well, or did you ever plan on getting one or have a backup plan?
It became part of the play. I always just had this tendency to sit back and listen. You just sit back and listen. People will talk. You kind of got to sort through the lies, through the alliances within alliances.
Did you ever have any like desires to, I guess, get an idol or an advantage, or even win a competition just for the sake of having people
Win a
come to you for
competition,
information?
yes, but I just didn't.
Did you just not feel like an idol was necessary or worth it because of how you were playing?
Well, I didn't want the target on my back, but I was trying to stay under the radar. But like I said, I really only had one strategy: just listen. People will talk. Find the majority. Go with it. And it's fine for me.
All right. I think we'll go ahead and we'll move on to the outwit portion of the game.
Can I say one more thing about the outplay part?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is outplay considered like okay? So I did, by the way, I won 2 of these things. I won the last one when it really counted. So that's also.
All right. So moving on to outwit. The outwit portion of the game is your social game, your strategic game. Were you consciously thinking about what you were doing? Were you putting yourself in a position that you needed to get further into the game? How were you doing that? Were you going up to certain people? Were there certain tactics that you employed on certain people to get them to do things that bettered your game instead of theirs? I think you guys see where I'm going with that. With certain tactics that you employed on certain people to get them to do things that bettered your game instead of theirs. I think you guys see where I'm going with that with portion. Go ahead.
I'll ask a question on this one. As far as this goes, I can ask this question to both of you, but it's mostly just for Tyler. You've made your play very clear, Ethan. So that's just kind of that on that. I don't really feel like I need to ask you this. If afterwards you'd like to answer, obviously that would be great. Outwit. Going into this, did you straight up just have the mentality of, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to the end, I'm going to burn every single bridge of every single person, and then just worry about it at the end? Or did you have any plan of jury management at any point in your strategy? Because we're all having a hard time. I love a dirty game. Survivor, Big Brother, I love it and I respect it. But when it's strategic,
Yeah.
it seems to a lot of us that it was just a dirty game for the hell of it. And that a lot of the decisions that were made, there seemed to be no strategy behind it and no jury management at all.
I mean, I'll be honest, aside from Ryan, I was at some point in a relatively strong alliance with every single one of you guys. And in every single one of those instances, I never went into the alliance thinking, okay, I'm going to backstab them. But the game evolves and changes so much that I have to do what I have to do to keep myself a top player, but also keep myself not too high that I'm like the biggest threat in the game. I didn't really plan to play this dirty, and I don't think it would have went this dirty had they not done the tribe swap like right off the bat. It felt right off the bat in my eyes because we hadn't gone to a tribal council one time, hadn't done anything, and so I was immediately put into a position where I had no allies. Like I had Sam on my team, but Sam literally never talked to me. Like I barely knew Sam, so I wouldn't even say he was that sharp in line, so I threw him under the bus. When it comes to you, you were literally my first person I talked to. And I'll just tell you, not when I talked to Gabe, like in intermission. Let's just admit, we all talked game strategy during intermission. When I talked to Gabe in intermission on the way to the gas station, he told me, Allie doesn't trust you. So from the point he told me that he doesn't trust you for the rest of the game, I didn't like you. I'm gonna be honest. I
That's cool.
thought you were against me, and quite frankly, you were. So, no, not a single one of you guys that I go into the relationship wanting to like backstab you. Like when we talked right after the merge, and we talked for a long time strategy. Like I kept that alliance for a long time, but it came to a point where I had to make a decision on each of you guys, even all the way down to the end with Gabe. Like Gabe is one of my best friends, but I truly felt if he was sitting right here, I lost.
Which I totally appreciate. That's a good decision in the end. But backstab, 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 backstab. Was there any type of jury management in your head, or did you think you were just gonna get on up in here and that we'd all just be like, oh, that's fine, it was really great? Like, was there any thought about how this is gonna go at the end?
You know, had I been stuck up here with someone else, I think maybe I would have made different decisions. But I mean, he said it himself at the very beginning. He doesn't think he deserves to be here. He feels like he hasn't done anything. And so, I said at the very beginning, I'm sorry. I'm not here to make friends. I was here to win the game, and I ended up in this chair.
But we talked about it. Y'all played a pretty similar game. The only thing is, he didn't backstab people. He didn't burn bridges that he didn't have to burn.
How is our game similar?
Right on
this,
his coattails.
so this is actually going into kind of my question for both of y'all. This is not just directed at Tyler. However, it hasn't made clear like where Ethan's stance is on this, so it may feel like it's directed at you, but I promise it's not. But it was kind of like a general consensus that it felt like it, at a certain point, you could arguably say from the beginning of the merge, I mean, I don't know what point you guys teamed up with Gabe, but it felt like it was a spear and Gabe was right there at the point and you guys were just kind of following along and just doing whatever happened. And
Just
it
me
felt,
and him, or like?
I mean, just in general. No, I'm only saying you guys because you guys are the ones at the end. I mean, it felt like he was more so leading the game, and it felt like everybody else was following. And so I guess when it comes down to those last moments in the game, what do y'all think were like the key strategies that y'all felt like y'all contributed to, or that y'all may have had some sort of influence in that weren't made by somebody else?
Okay, right there at the end, Allie wanted us to split the votes, where it was like Allie and Gabe go together, me and Ethan go together, and we split them on them two. I feel like I was the biggest advocate to all three of us just vote for me and not split all of them, because I was worried if we split all of them. We thought they both had idols.
But we did split it, and then she went home.
It was split.
Yeah.
And that's also when we played when I
That's
played
when
the
you
idol
tried to
out
save
there.
him.
Split.
Yeah.
And that's also when we played when I
That's
played
when you
the
tried
idol
to
out
save
there.
him. So that was my decision.
Well, someone didn't. We walked into that. They never said who it was, but we walked into that tribal council. The three of us agreeing that we were all going to vote for May. I don't know who didn't vote for May, if it was you or him. But I mean, I didn't just like follow along the plan with any of you guys, and that's why you guys think I'm a backstabber. Like if I was just listening to everyone, then I would not have all of you guys hating me. Like I played a big part in each one of you guys going home. If I was just following Gabe the entire time, then why are all you guys just mad at me and not mad at Gabe for everyone but Gabe?
No, we are, but he's not.
Totally mad at Gabe.
He's just.
He caught her at the end for But
It's gonna feel like we're directing everything now before.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
everybody's mad.
Well, I've got one strictly for Ethan. This one is strictly for Ethan.
Did you need to answer Did that you one? want to answer
Did
that?
you want to answer that one? Okay. Ethan, you have advocately said and stated that your main strategy was to listen and observe. What are some key things that you observed and or listened to that you feel like was important? So like if that is your strategy, then there had to have been something within that strategy that got you to that chair. What's something you heard, what's something you've seen that got you to where you are now?
People with power brag. Anytime they had idols, chips, anything, little tokens, didn't matter. I always heard about it. I just became that ear for everybody to fall on.
I'll give him that. He did hear a lot, and one thing he did is he seeked out. Like he never. I don't think he voted on who wasn't getting voted out a single time. I'm gonna be 100% honest.
So you're saying he voted correctly every time?
I think he was listening and made them calls.
And one thing to say, and this goes more towards like different strategies for each of y'all, but you can also, I mean, I don't know if this point has been made yet, if he didn't vote incorrectly, but he also never had his name written down on a piece of paper, which goes along with the strategy that he had, and it just goes, I think it plays into his question really well, is like, he obviously succeeded in that strategy, so what, it was a good question to ask, like what you felt like listening.
I can't confirm that. I didn't keep the records of the voting, so I don't know if that's real or not.
I don't feel like I don't remember.
I don't
Since I've been here, his name has not been called.
Not that one. On if he's voted correctly.
And I know you can't keep track of that, but every time
because I didn't know that until I started.
I mean, that's something you can ask him about right now.
I mean, unless it was at the merger, I was at tribal council every time he was in
No,
there.
his name didn't get written
So-
down.
I never went except for the once.
Okay, well, that's kind of irrelevant.
As far as him voting correctly, though, you guys can ask him about that. If he voted for the person that he voted for went home every time, you
There's
can
only
ask.
one time where it wasn't majority, and that's when he went home.
I respect that.
I didn't, but it's fine.
hey, no one knew you had them, honestly.
Well,
Not a
I
single
didn't
person.
tell anyone.
I know, I'm saying that.
Not even me.
That was wow.
Anyways, I have a question for Ethan. It's kind of two parts, so you need to answer, and then I'm gonna ask a different question. So you obviously your strategy was fly under the radar, and just kind of make everyone happy, kind of get to the end, but listen to all the things. Did you, in your opinion, ever make a big move either way?
Right now, it's hard to sort through the lies.
Okay, so yes.
Okay. That was his opinion.
Every decision.
Okay,
is a big
so voting wise, like at tribal, do you think you ever voted in a big way? Like, did you ever?
Well, there was times I definitely went against the majority just to, prove my loyalty. Even
Okay,
if it didn't go my way.
so can you give me an example of one of the moves you made that you felt like was a big move that you went against the majority or something?
Well, like voting for him. I was trying to keep him safe, even though I already knew that it was most likely going to be him or someone else.
Okay, because you voted for me that round, right?
Right.
Yes. Right, so you voted for me, and so you didn't vote with him, but you knew that he was the majority.
Like I said, required to hear everything.
Okay, so you knew he was the majority, and you still didn't vote for him.
I told him I wouldn't.
Okay.
The reason, though, technically he knew what I had.
Okay.
It's my fault for not playing it.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand. Oh, sorry. Okay, so then other than the vote where you were on the wrong side, was there ever a vote that you felt maybe you had a hand in switching or something? There were, in my opinion, there were like 3 or 4 votes in a row that were back and forth, didn't make a decision until like right at the end, unless I was just completely oblivious to things.
Like I said, I would just listen. I'd find out who's the majority and I'd go with it.
Okay, so you didn't make any of those decisions, you just found out and went with it.
Alright. Does anybody have anything else on an outwit?
Yeah. So I guess, and this goes for both of y'all, if y'all had to pick like just one like defining moment in your strategic play, where you just made a huge decision that you felt like really changed like where you were at in the game, what was that moment for y'all, and why do you think it was so important to your game? And that could be anything, even if it is just listening to your conversation or going with one particular vote over another.
I would say my biggest play was at the very, if I don't consider the blind side on Peyton, because I would like to take, if I don't consider the blind side on Peyton, because I would like to take, like, me and her should take most of the credit for that, but I'm the one that started the blind side on Peyton. So I think the blind
Technically, you started the blind side on Ronnie, and I convinced you to Peyton. Because without me saying Peyton, Sam would not have.
Had I not gone up to you and tell you, it looks like from the outside in that Ronnie and Peyton are carrying you, and you need to make a big play, you would have never went with me. You wouldn't have come to me and made that play, would you?
I don't know about that. It really would just depend because, like, I knew Peyton and Ronnie were going to be together.
So
And
you were
I
going to come
knew-
talk to me and Sam and tell us to vote for me.
I had already talked to Sam, and Sam was supposed to talk to you, so it didn't seem like we were right next to each other being tacked on. But you came
Well-
up to me before that had a chance to happen.
Alright. Well, I still think I played a big part in that. And then coming into the merge, I literally have like little to no trust with you. I did not have a single like strong core alliance, and I feel like I formed one with you, like right off the bat. And had I not made that play, I know Ronnie was gunning for me at the very beginning. I got told by multiple people that Ronnie wanted me out. And that was honestly the only reason I wanted you out. So I think just big plays at the start of the
Right, the transition point pretty much between Charles and Merge. Same something. Sorry.
Alright. Oh, I forgot that was directed at both.
Yeah.
Ask the question again, I forgot.
I guess it's a little different for your strategy. What would you say is like the most pivotal point where you felt like you heard a conversation or went with a certain decision, or where you just really feel like your strategy was at its peak that kind of led you to getting to the end? Like, what was really that defining moment in the game?
Well, once I reached to like the last 5, the last 4, I knew that once it came down to a jury, it was gonna be based on your relations with people, and I tried to stay liked by everybody, you know. But the one big decision, and I know she probably don't like me for it, is the
I'll fight you right now. Just wait. I know where you live.
Alright.
So that was a big play for me personally, because
So you're saying getting Abby eliminated
I know
was
when it
your
comes
move.
down to likability, I know he's more likable than me, she's more likable than me, so I just had to play with that. I just had to go for the win. I mean, I'm here to play.
Alright. Are we good on Outwit? Anybody has anything else?
Good on that one.
Alright, we're going to move on to the final portion, Outlast. This portion is a little more all-encompassing, so it's a lot more general than just looking at physical versus strategical. We've kind of hit on all these points already, but we'll talk about jury management. Were the players in the final 2 consciously putting people on the jury when they needed to and in the correct order, and were they the correct people to put on the jury, and how did they treat them in order to try to gain their vote right now? And we'll also talk about just general moments in their game, really kind of like Ronnie's last question, but maybe a more broad look at that instead of just saying one thing. Just kind of look at what were the peaks of your game, how did you use those to outlast everyone else and make it to these final 2 seeds. What were you doing different than everyone else at those peaks in your game to get there now compared to everyone else in the game? I know y'all got something about jury management.
I mean,
So I always kind of covered it.
Yeah. We kind of overlapped into Outlast in most of the other
Ethan, is
categories.
there anything different you would have done?
Different I would have done? Look where I'm at, no.
In terms of jury, like, is there anything different that you would have done that would have led to this situation where you're at right now that would solidify an answer? Because right now you don't know. Like, what would you have done to solidify an answer? So do you think the answer is in your favor? And if not, what would you have done to get it in your favor?
Like a big move you need to make to but you held back.
I don't really have much on that, man.
Okay.
Listen, I think we can all agree, I've been getting blasted for this. I was sort of the villain of this season, and I have a lot of bad blood on my hands. But I still think I should get credit for the fact that although all of you thought, y'all even said like on the little paper, like who's the most talkative, who's the dumbest, like even though all of you knew that I was playing a dirty game, I still made it through. Nobody ever decided, hey, this dude's blindsiding everybody. Maybe we should just vote him out. In the same way, well, you won.
I'm just.
Even when you did want me to vote me out, though, I convinced him not to. And I know this was considered a dirty play, but I feel like I should also get credit for convincing one of my biggest threats to literally save me from losing the game.
But if we're talking about, in essence, that I didn't know you before this game.
Dirty play, but I feel like I should also get credit for convincing one of my biggest threats to literally save me from losing the game.
But if we're talking about, in essence, that I didn't know you before this game, and I heard that you'd been talking about me like that, you probably wouldn't be sitting there today. I mean,
So would you have done anything
just
different?
because you're the way you
Yeah,
play.
I mean, it's hard for me to say, I would make changes because, like he said, like I'm sitting here. If I would have done other stuff, I might be sitting there. But if I could go back in a perfect world, I would make a stronger alliance right off the start of the merge and not be so all over the place. But I really don't think I had that much of a choice because so many people were in different alliances. Like, can anyone say, aside from Thomas, I feel like you got
I'm a
really,
loyal mother.
you got
That's
really
right.
blindsided.
I agree.
But can anyone else say that made it to like the final five that they were just a part of one single alliance and never dabbled in anybody else? So I was just constantly.
I don't know.
Abby seemed pretty loyal for the most part. She cut.
Abby,
She said
Abby
something
dealt
to
with
that one time.
Abby dealt with us four. She talked with Gabe and Allie.
But we knew where she stood every time. She was with me every
Yeah.
time. No matter what, she
I
was
feel
there.
like
I mean, she talked with people.
She-
Everyone
but she did-
talked with
but
people.
we
y'all,
knew where she
y'all
was.
knew it was the May and Abby show, so
Yeah, like, there was no doubt in my mind that when they came to vote, we had to have one of them two because they were going to be together.
And that's the only reason why the idol was used on you.
Especially going into the final. That's what I was thinking. I was like,
Like, it
Maybe
wasn't
I'll-
your play that he did, it was his play that he did that for you.
yeah.
So you're telling me I had nothing to do with him talking, convincing him that I know that they're going to do this, you should play.
I'm
Well,
just saying
it's
he
the
came
votes.
to me and convinced me to give up one of my immunity items. I don't remember being
That's
part of that
why-
conversation.
That's why I didn't bring him over.
Alright. Anything else? Or are we good?
I'm good.
Alright. So here's what we're going to do 7 jury members. You will be casting your vote to win.
Okay, I cannot justifiably in any way not vote for Tyler just because, I don't appreciate the way that he necessarily played the game. However, he did make a solid point and asked him a very specific question about the most defining moment of this game. And the only answer that I would have accepted right there was whenever he blindsided Peyton. And if he would have answered anything else right there, I probably wouldn't be voting for him. But since he did, we'll give it to him. Made some good points about his gameplay. So,
Right answer at the right time.
yep.
I want to tell you.
Recorded already?
Yeah, it is. I wanted to tell you. Thank you for coming, dude. For real. Let me know.
You can vote for Harambe.
This is your final two.
Yes.
Voting for a winner.
You gotta vote for
Against
somebody.
everything that my heart is crying for me to do, I'm voting for Tyler to win.
Because
Although a lot of the things he said up there, he didn't actually do, and a lot of the things he do, in my opinion, were bad ideas. He at least was doing things.
yeah, and
And
the competition just sort of set back and.
yeah, I mean, I think for me, coasting through the game is not the strategy that's going to win the game.
Okay. All right.
I'm voting for Tyler. He played dirty, but I feel like he actually came in and, dominated. I feel like Ethan didn't really have a strategy. I mean, Tyler didn't either, but he kind of figured out as he went. Ethan, he was just quiet all the time, and I can say that from being, after we merged together, or, the teams, whatever, split, doing different teams or whatever. you know, he basically said that, you know, he didn't know what he was doing, you know, anything. He's never watched Survivor, nothing. And so I don't know, I feel like Tyler was just a little bit more knowledgeable about this game, and, you know, he didn't make the best decisions, but I think he did what he felt like he needed to do, I guess. Whereas Ethan didn't really know what he was doing, you know.
Alright. To win.
Ethan.
Because?
Fuck Tyler.
Alright. Any reason why?
No.
No? It's fine. Okay.
No. Looking for the win.
You're voting for to win. You're not voting someone out, you're voting for a winner.
As much as I hate to, I'm gonna have to vote for Tyler just because I couldn't find a reason to give it to Ethan. If he would have given me a semi-good reason to compare it to Tyler's,
You would have took it.
Yes, because Tyler left blood all over, just
Yeah.
for no reason.
Sloppy.
So if I would never have known Tyler, like I said, I would have believed her, because that was talk was all around me that Tyler's trying to find your back. I was like, but in my back of my mind, I was like, you wouldn't do that. But Tyler, if I get back next year, just know you got no one coming.
Gonna be and why? You're voting for a winner.
Honestly, even though he wasn't loyal to me in the end, I'm a really loyal person. If, you know, I don't get my trust up very often, but to him I did. And yeah, he stabbed me in the back, but I mean, honestly, that's the play he needed to get here.
And what do you have to say about Tyler's game?
Yikes. He was all over the place. Like, yeah, he got to this point, but it's because of others. It's because he wasn't found that much to me as a real threat. Because had it been me, had it been Gabe, hands down, he would have lost.
Yeah. I thought you did too.
It makes me want to cry.
I think you had our votes to win.
I think you had the most well-rounded game.
Yeah. Wow. And when you were down, you made the comeback of the year. You made like you had nothing. Like people was like Ryan and Allie, and you made it through. Super impressed. All right, you're voting for a winner.
You know that I've never watched Survivor.
Shut up,
you told
really?
me about this until
Wow.
I watched 2 seasons. But I watched it.
Study up. All
Okay,
right.
so I write and I want to win.
Yes. And why do you want this person to win?
I don't want this person to win because he played one of the most reckless, dirtiest games of any show I've ever seen. It's not a show, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I cannot respect Ethan after the way he just portrayed himself up there.
But
he had my vote solid.
I told you, didn't I tell you?
I know, but I just didn't. I mean, to walk up there and go, "Oh no, I deserve this." Like, okay, Tyler. Like, it's just that simple to me.
Yep.
I hate it because I wanted to vote for Ethan.
I told you that you can have your mind made up and people.
For sure.
Yep.
1 vote Tyler, 1 vote Ethan. Third vote, Tyler. 2 votes Tyler, 1 vote Ethan. Fourth vote, Ethan. That is 2 votes Tyler, 2 votes Ethan. Fifth vote, Tyler. 3 votes Tyler, 2 votes Ethan. Sixth vote, Tyler. And your season 6 winner of Assassin's Creed is Tyler.